Hi and welcome. We're going to have a look at the modes and related stuff, I'm sure, and this video is made at the request of Rajesh. The C major scale looks like that. That's something we are familiar with. And the modes are basically the C, well, a major scale, but taken at different points. So the second mode is that. The third mode, the fifth mode, and so on. And we've given them names. So the major scale itself is also called the Ionian mode. The mode on the second degree is the Dorian. On the third degree, the Phrygian. On the fourth degree, Lydian. Fifth degree, Mixolydian. Sixth degree, Aeolian. Seventh degree, Locrian. So that's one way of finding them. I would also urge you to see them in a slightly different way in how they relate, how they are different from a major scale. So what I mean is this. That's the Ionian mode, the major scale. That's our sort of like default position. If I raise the fourth note, I've got the Lydian mode. If I flatten, now let's start flattening things, the seventh note, I have the Mixolydian mode. If I flatten the seventh and the third, I've got the Dorian. If I flatten the seventh, the third, and the sixth, I've got the Aeolian. And you're probably spotting something there, because the Aeolian mode is also the natural minor. It's the same thing. If I flatten the seventh, the third, the sixth, and the second, I've got the Phrygian. If I flatten, you're seeing the pattern, seventh, third, sixth, second, and fifth, I have the Locrian. Now, a great way for just getting into these modes would be to do this. Give yourself a drone somewhere down the bottom of the piano. And now let me just explore the, I don't know, let's do the Dorian mode. Let's just try one other. Let's do the Lydian mode, that very sort of raised fourth one. And by keeping that drone, that establishes C as our tonic note, as our home note. But we're exploring the different modes over the top of that. Now there are one or two quite interesting modes in there. For example, we saw the Phrygian mode. We saw that was those, if we flatten four notes. There's the Phrygian mode. Even more common is an altered version of that. It's often called the Spanish scale, the Phrygian Dominant Scale. It has a whole load of names I've probably never heard of. And basically it's the Phrygian, but you include the major third rather than the minor third, or you raise that note there. very specific sound world there, don't you? And you're probably thinking, well, you may be thinking, hold on, that sounds like something else, because that is actually a mode of the harmonic minor scale. Oh, what? And the harmonic minor scale is itself an altered mode of the major. So you can see how I can get caught up. I want to explain what I've just said. That's C major, isn't it? The sixth mode is the Aeolian scale. So if I alter the seventh note of that, raise the seventh note, so I've altered it, I've got the harmonic minor. If I now take the harmonic minor and play the fifth mode of that, I'm back to my Phrygian Dominant scale, the Spanish scale I just spoke of. Let's bang an E in the bass because that's got to be our tonal centre. And we're back to where we were before. Another word of caution is that Lydian mode, for example, is the raised fourth one. So you might look at a piece and say, okay, it's C major, but I've got some F sharps, I'm in Lydian. It's not as simple as that. If I'm noodling away in C major, nice and straightforward. And now I'll introduce an F sharp. And I just introduced the F sharp to move us to a different key. Another example, one that I particularly love, great Scott Marty, the flux capacitor. So this has all the hallmarks of Lydian. I've got a C chord going on there. My melody's got some F sharps in it. Haha. But in fact, it's in G major. It's happened to start on the fourth chord of the key. So to really establish a mode, you have to have, as your, so go back to Dorian for a moment, you would have to have C as your root note, your tonic note, and to be immersed in that sound world. Notice how, for example, in the Dorian chord 4 was major, that gives it part of its character. Have a think about tunes such as Greensleeves. What's that about? Again, options. Try that one. Where I was pausing, what mode is going on there, or what modes could go on there? I would argue as well, just to throw another cat amongst the pigeons, is that all this mode stuff, even more important is to get your head around a pentatonic scale. There's a major pentatonic scale of C. And it's gold dust. It's great for creating that sort of folk music sound, but also that C major pentatonic. We know that C major and A minor are pretty much the same thing. One is a mode of the other. So C major, A minor, pentatonic is the same as C major. Head around the pentatonic scale, I'd argue, is even more important. We've covered a lot of ground there, really very superficially. I've given two ways to work out the modes. In relation to a major scale, you can work them out by that's Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian, and we're back to Ionian. Also think of them as being a major scale but with altered notes. Raise the fourth for the Lydian, lower the third and the seventh for the Dorian, and so on. To get into the sound world, bang down an open fifth in a key and just play with the scale tones to get into that sound world. On our first go with that, they can sound, dare I say it, weird, but they're not really, and they're really great fun and very interesting to play with. And also, try and get your head around pentatonic scales. We've looked at C there, and they too exist in major and minor, one being a mode of the other. I hope that was useful. It's a big topic, and but great fun. Any questions, do come back to me. As always, bye bye for now.